Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. This is episode 356. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more episode and having a good time with us. If you're new, well, I hope you do have a good time and you'll come back in the future and maybe check out some past episodes. So, how have you all been? It seems like we are in a state of flux as we have been, as a country locked down for many a months, and things are slowly opening up. I know here in Illinois it's under great debate, but things are going to be opening up here in 2 days on Friday. Of course, under many restrictions, but last we heard, they were monitoring the states in 4 different sections, and we're going to open up according to each section's results, and they're just opening the whole state. So part of me thinks they're just fed up with the backlash. I live in central Illinois, and there's been a lot of backlash of the governor here in central to southern Illinois. Because we are not experiencing the same amount of cases as the Chicagoland area, as to be expected. A lot of people want the state, or want our portion of the state, to open up and get back to normal. And, it's a little scary to rush it. But I have my own feelings on that. We're going to just stay away from that because I can see both sides. And I just gonna take care of myself and watch out for myself, my family, and my business, and my customers, and you all, and my friends. But other than that, everybody's an individual, and they're gonna make their own decisions, and hopefully everybody will be safe. So anyway, I have had a relatively kind of acceptance of this new normal. While things, it took a while for me to get used to not being as busy. I'm kind of liking it now, and we do a lot of shows and traveling for Leading Men Fiber Arts, which, if you're new, I am one of the owners and dyers behind Leading Men Fiber Arts. My partner Andy is the better half of the company, and he's at work today dyeing more yarn for you all. And my sister Amanda is the third wheel, so to speak, in the company, and she does a lot. She does all the rescanning for us, most of the tagging, labeling, picturing, uploading, and a lot of other really integral parts to the business. So we're a 3-person team, and that's all that makes up Leading Men Fiber Arts at the time, or at this point. So but we're usually traveling so much for shows that this has actually been nice to have some semblance of a normal life at home. And so we are really reconsidering what traveling is going to look like in the future once things and festivals start taking place again. We may not be traveling as much. We have our website running the way we've always wanted it to run, and so people have been, I think we've verified our business name now long enough that people know they can trust in our product and not have any qualms about ordering online. So, but other than that, really nothing exciting has been happening around here other than work and coming home and relaxing. And I've been actually reading a physical book. I'm not going to talk about it this episode because I'm not done with it. I'm about halfway done, but I can't remember the last time I haven't picked up an actual book for pleasure, other than when I was teaching. I was an English teacher, high school English teacher. Been 3 years now, dyeing full time, and but I would read in my classroom. But at home, it's funny how a little time off and a little less stress can open up whole new worlds for you. But so I've been reading and trying not to nap as much as I have been, and we had my mom and sister over for dinner. We're all doing okay. So we had them over for dinner last week, and had my mom back over for dinner this weekend. She hasn't been feeling the best, but she was able to make it over and enjoy some smoked ribs and broccoli salad, and nice to kind of grill out and start the warmer season. We're not at summer yet, but it sure is starting to feel like it. We just turned on the air 2 days ago at the studio and the house. We haven't had it on at all, but as we're hitting the upper 80s and the buildings are, creeping up above 80 on the indoors, even with fans going, we're like, no, it needs to happen. So that's really all that's been going on here on our end. So let's get to the crafting. I actually have a lot to show. I have 3 finished objects to show you, as well as some hand spun yarn, progress, stash, contest, chit chat. Let's just roll right into it, shall we? I am wearing another knitting related shirt. A lot of you commented on last episode's hoodie that I was wearing, which was from Estes Park Wool Market last year, which is held in Colorado, in Estes Park, which is beautiful. And we were hoping to be back there here in the next week or two, I think. But unfortunately it was canceled this year. This is from last year's Super Summer Knit Together, which was their 10th anniversary, which is crazy. So, no, 8th. I'm sorry, because it's 8-bit. 8th anniversary. They started in 2011, 12? Yeah. Anyway, so I thought you would enjoy that. I'm trying to wear some more of my knitting-related t-shirts and paraphernalia as, I'm want to be warm, and I don't really wear my knitwear, especially while podcasting, because I just get warm. So anyway, let's jump right into what's taking a bow this episode, which is my finished objects. And the first is a big project. So I finished Faraway Dreams by Joji Locatelli. This is a rectangular wrap that is knit garter stitch body, and then you pick up all the stitches around and do a lace border. I used Leading Men Fiber Arts Monologue, which I knew I shouldn't have drank pop. I should have went with water, but that's all right. You're gonna get little burps going. I had my cup of coffee. I moved on to pop. So our Leading Men Fiber Arts Monologue is our single ply superwash merino silk and yak base, which is 120 grams. So it's just a little bit bigger than a normal skein with 523 yards. And you need 2 skeins for the main color and 1 for the edging. And you do have enough leftovers that you could probably do a second shawl using both colors. I think I had 90 some grams left of the main color, which is almost a full regular skein. And I think I had 45 or 50 grams left of the contrasting color. So if you use this base. So I used Tranquil as the main body color. And then Stretch Your Stuff is the border color. And again, the yak takes everything completely different because it is a gray-brown when we dye it. And it did grow. I finished it and I was kind of like, ugh. I think I have a different gauge than Joji. I always feel like my stuff is smaller than hers. But it did grow with the Superwash Merino and Yak. It is a nice size stole, or you can wear it as a, nice squishy scarf. But if you want to treat yourself, go with the Monologue. This yak in here, you're going to get a little bit of shedding and pilling. That is how softer fibers work. Softer fibers means shorter hairs, shorter fiber lengths, staple lengths, and that means that they are not going to be trapped in the yarn as easily. And so they kind of floof out and fall out more easily, excuse me. I was an English teacher. But softer yarns, that's the trade-off that you get. It's just how it's going to happen. You're not going to get a really, really soft yarn that isn't going to shed or pill unless you go with man-made fibers. So anyway, here it is. You can see the width there and the length. It was a great quarantine project because it was a lot of garter in the middle. You got to just go mindlessly. I did keep track of my rows rather than having to count all the garter bumps. The lace I did get off once or twice, but I had to frog back and fix it. And I did not pin this out. I really don't ever pin out unless I absolutely have to. I just wetted it and laid over. I want to say it's probably about 50 to 52 inches long because my blocking board is 48 inches and it just went over that. So Yeah, so this will be a shop sample. We will be kitting this up shortly. I was looking to get patterns for it, but unfortunately, Hohi hasn't updated this pattern to my print distributor. So she hasn't updated anything in a little bit on there. She kind of does batch editing once or twice a year, which I wish she would get patterns out more quickly to our print distributor so that we could actually do things more, you know, on point when they're released. And that was knit on a size 6 US, which is a 4.0 millimeter needle. I then finished the socks I was working on last time. I was so close, all I had to do was one heel, and I did finish those really quickly. Andy did not travel back home, which I was happy about. We are considering going back here to Indiana in another week or so. My sister's birthday is June 6th, but that's also our niece's birthday. So my sister Amanda, who's part of the LMFA team, she turns the big 25 this year. And so her birthday's coming up, but you know, she's gonna be going out. Or seeing a few close friends. We do not need to be part of that. So we actually need to go back and, you know, support our niece, and we didn't get to see our nephew and his birthday in April. So it'll be, you know, small immediate family there. So we'll probably go back around there. And these were for his mom for Mother's Day. So I'll be gifting them to her late. But these are the Vera socks. And these are knit out of the Loopy U striping series, which I believe never came into production. I got this as a goodie bag yarn at the Loopy U Spring Fling, the last one that she held in St. Louis before they moved their company to Colorado. And the colorway's Vera. And then I used a Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper Mini skein in the Vengeance colorway for the cuff, heel, and toe. I get a lot of questions on, can you get cuff, heel, and toe out of a 20-gram mini? My answer is, if you're going to do 62 stitches on your sock or fewer, you can probably get away with around a 15 round cuff. I only do 10 to be safe. For my socks, I do a 72 stitch sock, and I have run out of yarn before with a 20-gram mini. So I do 10 rounds to be safe. What I also tell people too is to look at our intermission skeins, which is a 50-gram skein of our showstopper. So if you split that in half, you have 25 rather than 20 grams. And then you can use half of it and definitely have enough for all three, cuff, heel, and toe, and then put it to the side and keep those semi-solid, or keep that color for a future pair of socks. These are a 62 stitch sock though, and I believe I have our mom's size down. I know her shoe size, so I looked at it's a size 8, I believe, or 8.5. But yeah, with an afterthought heel, rounded toe, and I do the same thing for the heel, except I do 4 rounds, plain knit rounds, before I start decreasing to give it just a little bit more room in the heel. So those are going, washed and blocked. And then last but not least, in terms of knitting and crocheting, I finished my unicorn shawl. I've been doing a lot of these crocheting wise. This is my 3rd one. I have the 4th one on the hook. The pattern is my first triangle shawl by Lindsay Dale. And all of these I've been using Lion Brand Mandala. And this one's in the unicorn colorway. I had finished previous ones in Serpent and maybe not Serpent. What was the first one? Anyway, I finished 2 other ones. I've actually listed them in the online shop for super cheap. So if you're looking for a quick handmade gift for friends or family, and you're like, I don't have time to knock anything out, or I'm super busy at work, or this or that. Because it's not hand-dyed yarn and it's acrylic, great for gifting, and I think I have them listed for $20. So this one is also listed in the shop, but I brought it to show you. So this is unicorn. So it does shades of gray and then goes into pinks with a little bit of white and a slight tinge of gray right at the end, a light gray. So these are a basic triangle shawl, really easy. Got me back into my crochet mode. I use a size H or 8 hook to do this. This is considered a light worsted to DK weight, and it's 200, I think it's 200 grams. Or is it 150? 150 grams, 590 yards. So yeah, that's the first one, or this one is finished. So I've started another one, which I'll show you here in just a minute. All right, so that's what I finished this episode, and I feel like I made good progress and I'm happy with that. Okay, so what's performing this episode? So first up is my So Basic sweater by Maxim Cyr. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy, which is our 100% superwash BFL or Blue Face Leicester wool. They are 150 gram skeins, so they're jumbo, and they come with 657 yards. So I only needed 3 skeins for this sweater in my size, which I'm knitting about a 50-inch or somewhere around there bust. On this sweater, it is a fingering weight, very basic raglan with a little bit of ribbing down the sleeve. I'm using a size 3 and 4 US, 3.25 and 3.5 millimeter needle. And I've been knitting and knitting and knitting and debating if I should keep going or stopping or going and stopping. So I talked with Andy, and I know I like 18 inches down from the underarm, and he thinks that my sweaters are a little too long and that they needed it to be a little shorter. So I was looking at this sweater and I was like, well, I still need to do 2 inches of ribbing on it. And he was like, yeah, I think you're good to go. So I kept knitting for the episode that we were watching of TV. And I said, all right, when I pick it up again, which will be here in just a little bit after recording, I am going to start the ribbing. So I probably need to switch out the needles, but I'm knitting this in our Don't Fear the Reaper colorway, which is our charcoal gray, which is relatively new. And I think I'm gonna love it, guys. I really do. I think I'm gonna love throwing this on at convention centers and have no problem wearing this at shows. So you can see the bottom there. I am alternating skeins using the helical method of knitting, which is where you stop 3 stitches before you would switch yarns, and you slip 3 stitches, and then you just pick up the previous round's yarn and start knitting with that. I do notice a little bit in it that you can see it. I hope it will block out. People are like, oh, you can't see anything. Well, you can see my creases from where I folded it, but well, I guess I can't. I feel like I can see a little bit here, maybe. Yeah, it goes kind of this way, I think. I don't know. It's not horrible, and it definitely would help. You know, even when you alternate skeins, sometimes you can get a little pooling and flashing between one skein. And because you're always moving the beginning of the round, it's going to stagger that even more. So I do think it's a better way of doing it. But you do need to kind of watch your tension a little bit when you're picking up those slip stitches, because if they're too loose, you're going to get really elongated slip stitches. So just keep that in mind. I'm almost done with one complete skein. I have this much left of the first skein, and then I have about 1 skein left maybe between the 2 balls. All right, because I finished the Vera socks, I started another pair of self-striping socks. So I went back to my stash, and the way I'm working through my self-striping is I'm going from my oldest self-striping forward, because I bought it for a reason and I need to knit it. So I picked up this next skein of yarn at the first ever Super Summer Knit Together, before we were even dyeing yarn, back in 2012. And I picked up this skein, and actually I had bought yarn from them, and then I went back later in the afternoon and was like, oh, screw it. I was like, I don't like yellow, but I like this. And I picked up the skein of Hiawassee Creek Dye Works, which is no longer dyeing, in the banana pudding colorway. And this is on her sassafras sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So it's a little bit thicker, but I am using, again, the banana pudding colorway. That's truer to color. And then I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arch mini skein in black walnut because I couldn't deny how it's a little lighter in the striping, but how close those browns are. They're probably the same dyes in different saturations. But I'm using that for the cuff, heel, and toe. I've already put in the heel line, and I believe I'm about 15 rounds away from starting the toe on the first sock. So I'm knitting these on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needle. 72 stitches, 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and then I'll do the rounded toe. So those are going. I worked on that last night while we watched some TV. And then, once I was done with the Faraway Dreams shawl, as I showed last episode, I used my random number generator on my stash to pick some yarn for me. And it picked a relatively new stash acquisition. Back from November of last year, we were vending at East Texas Fiber Festival. And I got to see Cindy, who I've known for several years. She was one of our first sample knitters. And she started dyeing yarn, and her brand is called Stitch Naughty. And she gifted me these 2 skeins of her Heartbreaker, which is worsted weight. And this color is called Pumpkin Patch, and this one is called Chai. And I'd originally picked this one, and she gifted me this one on top of it, and she said, go make something fun. And I picked out a pattern for this, a colorwork pattern called The Idea of North Cowl. And this is by Tanis Gray. And here is what it looks like. And it is copyright, I believe, 2015. So it's been out for 5 years. And I've started knitting. I am not catching my floats because homie don't play that game. So we're going to see how this blocks out compared to my last color work, which was the For Fox's Sake sweater. And there are some longer ones of 11 stitches or so. But I'm holding all my strands loosely and wishing for the best. So this is knit on a size 5 and 7 US, 3.75 and 5 millimeter. And the edging is wanting to curl up. You can see some of the color work happening. You really have to pay attention. There's 4 repeats across the cowl, and I have messed up on several occasions. What I need to do when I work on this again, probably this evening, is put in stitch markers at every repeat so I know if I'm off within a repeat rather than at the end of the row, because it seems like I keep messing up like at the end of the first repeat, and then I have to tink back all the way. Because it's color work and I can't fudge it. I wish I could, but it will not read, especially this intricate of a color work pattern. But yeah, the colors are looking much better contrasting wise on the screen than I was thinking. So that's going. And then last but not least, oh, I didn't put it on my show notes, but I am crocheting, so it's not last but not least. I'm crocheting another one of the first triangle shawls. This one's in the Chimera colorway, and it's kind of like a darkened rainbow. Again, out of Lion Brand Mandala, using a size H or 8 hook. Make sure I leave a nice long loop. Here's where I'm at so far. And I like it. I just pick it up and I crochet a row across, and then I put it down, and it's nice, mindless and using some of this stash up. I bought all these mandalas when our Walmart in town went out of business and everything was 25% off, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna weave with it. And then I realized I don't like weaving with the thicker weight. I don't enjoy the fabric it makes as much as a thinner weight yarn, so I had all these cakes and I'm using them, so it makes me feel good. Last but not least, I want to show you progress on my granny square blanket. In the last 2 weeks, I posted on Instagram a picture of the blanket laying out on our spare bed in our guest bedroom, which is a queen size, and it pretty much fits the whole entire top. So I talked with Andy and he was like, you know what, go. I was measuring it out at 18 rows because it is as tall as I am now, if not a little taller, and I'm 5'7" and a half. And gotta get that ½ inch in there. And so Andy agreed. He's like, wow, this is really cool. But he's like, you know what? It needs to drape over just a little bit. So he's like, go ahead and add the 2 more rows to make it the 20 rows that you want. And then I'm going to add, just another final round around the whole blanket, which will make it a little bit of a border. So I am in the middle of the 19th row. So I thought I'd show you the what I'm working on in the last row. I don't remember where I left off, but I think I showed you where I was last time. So we'll just show you the top row that I'm working on. Just added this one on this morning. It's Heliotrope from Leading Men, Sandcastle from Leading Men. This is a little bit of Stage Kiss with a very little bit of Tranquil because I ran out, and I don't care. I think it makes it scrappy and fun. This I want to say is Popeye's Delight. This is Mary's Jam. I'm using a lot of our leftovers back from the Advent calendar. I have a lot of the little balls left over. This one is Stretch Your Stuff on the monologue from the wrap. This one is Dreamweaver. This one I want to say is the Haunted Wood, maybe. This is, I don't know if that's ours. Shadows in the Trees, maybe? And this is a discontinued colorway, but it is Steady Beat. So that's what I've added on to the 19th row. Again, I get a lot of questions about this blanket. I use a C hook, which is a 3, I believe, and I use fingering weight or sport weight scraps, and I do a 5-round granny square, and then I join as you go using a YouTube tutorial that I watched way back when I started this, and I am using undyed skeins of our Superwash BFL Soliloquy base because it's our strongest yarn, I feel like, in my opinion, with the biggest amount of put up. Spotlight is BFL and nylon, so it's going to be stronger, but they're 400 yard skeins, and I wanted the bigger, less ends to weave in. I am almost done with my 3rd ball of Soliloquy, so I'm going to need 4 balls at least to finish the blanket and do the edging. So 4 undyed skeins, and what I know what a lot of other people have done with their scrap blankets, if they're using undyed, you can buy it on a cone from wool suppliers, but if you want to work from that, if you want just a number of undyed skeins, please get in contact with us. We do give a 30% discount on undyed skeins, which helps. So just let us know. All right. So what's in rehearsal? Nothing in the foreseeable future. I don't have any plans because everything's relatively new, and I'm not close to finishing anything at this moment. So let's move into behind the scenes. This is where I talk about my spinning. Excuse me, I got itchy nose all of a sudden. I finished some hand spun. This is Three Waters Farm Targhee in Storm Clouds Over Flowers colorway. And I got 276 yards out of 4 ounces, so it's about a sport weight. And it's got beautiful shades of blues and purples, which is the storm clouds. And then it's got pops of chartreuse and very muted magenta and peach and a little bit of aqua blue and some pinks in there. And so I have waited to list this online till I could show you, but this will be going online here in the next few days in the shop. But I was very pleased with that, and this spun up super quick. So then I used my random number generator, as I want to do on my fiber stash, and it picked for me some Yarn Geek fibers, mixed BFL or Blue Face Leicester in the triplicate colorway, which is various shades of green along with little pops of aqua blue and brown. Mixed BFL is a mix of white and dark BFL. So it's about a 75-25 mix of the two colors. And this is the second 2 ounces. I am probably a little over halfway on the first 2 ounces. I am doing my normal 2-ply fractal spin. It's what I like to do to get a reasonable amount of yardage. If I were to do 3-ply, it'd be a thicker yarn but less yardage, and I like the yarn that I come up with. So that's going. Let's talk in the scene shop, what's going on in the other crafting world of mine. Right now I'm only doing cross stitch. Weaving has taken a backseat for a while, and I am working on a Heaven and Earth Designs called One for Sorrow. The artwork is by Stephanie Pugh Moon Law, and here's where I'm at. I'm doing 2/1 half stitch on a 25 count easy count, and I'm working on page 3 here, and so I have finished what you see there. This is the finished cross stitch, and you can see the progress that I'm making. So in page 3 is about the halfway point across the design. So slow but surely I'm making progress on that. Alrighty, let's keep moving. Let's start chit-chatting for a little bit. So let's talk about in the spotlight. What am I watching? So I don't think we talked about this last time, or that I got this far. I am watching Supernatural. I started it as my quarantine show because there are 15 seasons of it. And I have finished season 4. I'm now in season 5. I am going to take a break and watch a different show after season 5 to give myself a little bit of a reprieve. But I'm enjoying it. I like that they're tongue-in-cheek and they're making fun of themselves a lot and the culture that surrounds the show. We are also watching RuPaul's Drag Race. We finished season 2 and we've started season 3. It's funny how the show's growing just in 2 seasons, the amount of money that they're giving away, the production value. But I wish there was I don't know. This season's contestants they have 13 this season. The first they had 9, then they had 12, now they have 13, and it's like, yeah, the seasons get longer and you get more episodes, but you don't make the immediate connection with the girls as quickly because, you know, they're not spending as much time on each individual person. All right, movie-wise, I watched Andy and I both watched it, Crawlers, which is part of the Into the Dark series on Hulu. Into the Dark is a monthly movie that comes out, which is a very B-rated movie, like not high quality, no actors that you would really probably, no A-list actors. You might recognize faces here or there, but Crawlers was the one that came out in March, and they always loosely base around some sort of holiday. So this one was based around St. Paddy's Day, and it's set around a pub crawl, but there has been this alien life form that came to this small college town years ago, and now it has developed, and it is snatching people's bodies and replicating them. It is very tongue-in-cheek. It is very non-believable. It is very B-rated. But I enjoy going along for those rides for when I don't want to think too hardly, because you can't, or you're just going to go, no. But I enjoy them. They're all right. And then last weekend, we watched Joker. It was Andy's pick. I really didn't care to watch it. I thought he did an amazing job of acting. I'm glad he won the Academy Award for it. However, I didn't care for the storyline. I did not care for the pacing of it. I thought it was really long and drawn out. My personal opinion, so. And then this past weekend, we watched Ready or Not, which is, again, a suspense horror movie with black comedy in it, very tongue-in-cheek. It's my overused phrase of the episode. But I wanted to see it when it came out in movie theaters, but I waited, and it was the HBO premiere this weekend, and it is about a young woman who marries into a very rich family, and at the they are rich because of a inheritance due to a gaming family, and not only hunting but board games. And it is tradition when a new person marries into the family at midnight, they have to play a game, and if hide and seek is pulled, then they have to hunt down the newlywed in their home, and if they do not kill them before sunrise, the whole family will die. And if they don't play, the newlyweds both will die, and this, folklore and tradition or whatever. It was a good ride. I enjoyed it. It got really laughable at the end, but that was the point. So I enjoyed it. I'd say check it out if you like that type of thing. All right. I wanted to give some shout outs to some new to me podcasts. Usually I can never keep on top of podcasts, and when we're traveling and everything, I use Feedly as my RSS feeder. So it's what grabs videos off of YouTube rather than subscribing on YouTube. I find that I don't like their platform. And Feedly only keeps new articles for 30 days. So if I don't watch it within 30 days, they just drop off. And a lot of times that happens. But it feels like when I'm traveling, I'm always watching things that are 30 days old, that are a month old. And because I've been home, I've been able to stay on top of my podcast and watch things. And I did get caught up at one point. So I went out searching for YouTube, and in the sidebar, I actually noticed two guys. And so I went over and I checked out this episode, and it is the Needles at the Ready podcast, which they are about 8-9 episodes in, I believe. And that's with Kevin and Ray. They are a couple out of Connecticut. And it seems like Kevin's more the established fiber artist. Ray's kind of trying more things out and branching out. And their banter is really entertaining. They very much are just like sitting down and chatting amongst each other. They tend to go on tangents and work their way back. But it's fun. It's like sitting with a knit group and just checking in with them. So I highly recommend Needles at the Ready and that you check them out. They are going to be doing a really cool knit along coming up in June. I don't have all the details, but you can check out their Ravelry group and their videos. But it's called the Let's Hear It for the Boys knit along, and it is going to be a knit along, craft along that includes a man's design, a designer that's a man, yarn made or dyed by men, to kind of support men in the community. And I loved this idea so much that I reached out to them and I donated a prize for their knit along. I wanted to support them in this endeavor. I feel like over the last couple of years, as a community, we have been growing and expanding and opening our eyes in so many ways. And it's been a wonderful journey to see people embrace and accept and realize the community that we have, which is much larger than you would think. But I feel like there is a big downfall that a lot of people are seeing in this. We're looking at, plus sizes in designs and being inclusive in designs. We're looking at supporting BIPOC makers and BIPOC individuals in our community. But I feel like supporting male makers is something that has not really been addressed. It gets talked about, but it's not really addressed. It's talked about as an issue. And so, I thought it was really interesting when I was watching a podcast recently, and they were talking about these t-shirts that they made and this wonderful design that they had this artist make and this inclusivity, logo, and how one thread connects all of us through crafting, and there was men designed on the picture, but then they only made t-shirts in a women's size. That seems to be really, really lacking. That doesn't seem to be very inclusive in my mind. And it could be easily overthought, but we need to think about these things. If you're going to make a t-shirt to be inclusive, don't make it a female A-line t-shirt with a V-neck, or offer more options. We talk about bigger sizes in sweater making and designs, and that we need to be more inclusive, and a lot of designers are going back and are increasing their sizes. That's great, but look at the amount of designs on Ravelry that are for females, or say they're unisex, but if you have to then modify it to make it fit you as a man because you have larger arms, or your armhole is a little bit bigger, or you don't want a boat neck or a scoop neck that makes you look disheveled when you wear an undershirt underneath it. There are designs that need to be labeled as men, or we need to design for them as well. I understand that, a lot of designers are referencing themselves to make designs, and that's great. But as an indie dyer, I like to dye yarns that are also masculine and male friendly, but I don't just do that. I design a lot of colors that can appeal to anyone and that are more traditional female colors. But again, anybody can knit it. I understand that I can knit a female sweater, and I do. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be part of my wardrobe. I can enjoy that craft, but then I also want things that can be part of my wardrobe. And I feel like that amount of visibility in the pattern world, in the designing world, in the crafting world is that big. And I just think we need more visibility with that. So I was actually watching a Grocery Girls Live episode yesterday, and Vincent of Designs by Dells was asking, what would you want to see from a male designer this upcoming year? More men's designs, please. And I know they're working on it. Their Unbearable hoodie is coming out, and I want to knit it so badly, but, more men's designs, please. More men's modeling unisex designs, modeling cowls, modeling kerchiefs, modeling hats and mittens and things. That's my tangent for this episode. I debated about whether to talk to it, and it just came out naturally, so I'm going to leave it in. But, not everybody agrees with me, and that's fine. We aren't meant to agree with each other. But if we can talk civilly and maybe express our opinions in a civil way, then I think that's fine. And that's how the world works, right? Anyway, another really good podcast, and I'm in the middle of watching a second episode, is The Bearded Pearl with Caleb. I've had the pleasure of meeting Caleb and his partner Justin on several occasions at Stitches Midwest. They are from Wisconsin, and I always joke around with Andy when I see them on Instagram or, in person, because they're a very put together couple, and they are very, when he Instagrams his garden and his cooking and his house, I'm like, those are the gays I want to be, but those are not the gays that I'm going to be. I'm too disheveled and don't care enough. And I'm sure that they are very lovely humans, and that, I'm just inwardly jealous, Caleb. You have a wonderful home and it's beautiful. And he's just a very put together and just doesn't pause like I do or say, I'm a little less eloquent. But I love his knitting and I love his style and his take. So he's decided to start a podcast during quarantine. I've been following him on Instagram for quite a while. Even before I met him or knew of him, I started following him on Instagram. And he's now started the Bearded Pearl podcast, and it's really good. And really one of those podcasts you just want to sit back and enjoy a nice cup of coffee in the morning to kind of wake up and start your crafting too and just be soothed. Because he's engaging you in a conversation rather than talking at you, and he's not actually, bantering with somebody, which I think actually has its upsides. I enjoy all types of podcasts, and I can't just watch one type, single person podcast, and I can't watch just chit chat podcasts. My sister's really funny, actually. She listens to podcasts all day, especially true crime and things of that nature. But she cannot stand a single person podcast or audiobooks. She has to listen to two person because she drives her insane. I don't know. We all have our things, right? So anyway, check out on YouTube the Bearded Pearl and Needles at the Ready. Thought I'd fill a little bit of that awkward silence with some pretty yarn. So I made another purchase to support fiber friends in the industry. And this just makes me so happy. So Julia of Knitterly Things, she's known mostly for her Vesper sock yarn, self-striping sock yarn. She was the first ever sock club I was ever in. And I've had the pleasure of meeting her now and becoming friends with her on several occasions. In fact, we did a show in Michigan on my birthday last year, and she surprised me with a tiara and a sash and cupcakes and cookies, and she's a beautiful human being. Anyway, I get her newsletter every week, and she had posted that she knit a shift cowl by Andrea Mowry using one of her Mitten Love yarn kits, which is an 8 mini skein sport weight kit. These are 8 20-gram mini skeins, so it's 160 grams of yarn, 590 yards, and they are 100% wool. And I got her brilliantly bold colorway, which you can see there's gold and the saffron, a dark eggplant, a magenta, an avocado green, there's like a tan, I think that's more of a dark brown than a black, and then this teal. And she used it to knit the shift cowl, and she's like, I just kind of mixed up the colors and this and that. So in my order, she was also kitting these for 20% off. So I don't think she still has the sale going, but this was a $24 purchase, which is amazing of a deal. So in my order, I was like, hey, I want to be you when I grow up, so can you please tell me what order exactly you used in your cowl? And I don't know if she would give this to you. I'm sure she probably would. She typed it up for me and wrote out her whole exact conversion. She wrote on here, how I use the colors for my sample for Steve, so he can be just like me when he grows up. I wanted the exact cowl. That's what got me. So I said, I know I'm being one of those customers who's, nagging you for information. But so that will be coming at some point. Definitely check out Knitterly Things. Check out her sock yarn. She does do a kind of a premiere color or a throwback color, or she puts up one new color every week to the shop on Fridays, and you should join her newsletter if you haven't done so. All right, the giveaway this week. First of all, before I show it, I am going to do it a little differently. I've been toying around with it for the last couple episodes, and honestly, I've forgotten and always started the thread on Ravelry. The giveaway this episode, we're going to actually do on YouTube. Since the show is purely on YouTube now, and everything links to YouTube, whether you're watching it on the blog, on Ravelry, or YouTube itself, you're watching it via the YouTube video. And I thought, let's try doing the giveaway on YouTube under the comments. That way we can get more comments, which then shows the video, makes it more visible for people to see, and we'll see how it goes. So I would love if you would subscribe to the podcast via YouTube. You don't have to, because I told you I don't subscribe to ones. I use a different, I use Feedly for that. So you don't have to, but I would love if you would. It gets my numbers up for visibility and whatnot. But we are going to be giving away this episode 2 skeins of Cascade Superwash Aran, 220 Superwash Aran. So these are 100% superwash wool, 150 yards to 100 grams. So you have 300 yards of an Aran weight. And these are in color 817, which is like a bear. So even if you wanted to give your hand a dyeing yarn, this might be good for you. Or if you wanted to, do some fun, work this in for color work, Aran color work, what have you. So there's 2 skeins here. To be eligible, all you have to do is post a reply to the prompt that I'm going to have in the show notes, but I'm also going to say it here. Just click on the comments. You can pause this and answer it right now, or you can answer as I'm talking. The prompt is, when was the last time you face palmed, and what was it? So face palming is when you go, oh, or, I should have had a V8. But V8's gross. Not the fruit one, but like true V8. Some people like it. I don't like veggies in general. I was trying to think of the last time I face palmed, and I don't know. I do a lot of stupid stuff all the time. So it happens probably 15 times a day, but I've lived with it my whole entire life, so I tend to just throw it right in the back or throw it out of my head immediately rather than dwell on it, because if I did, Lord knows where I would be now. So go ahead and leave a comment on this YouTube video, and I will use a random comment picker next episode to pick a winner, and I will announce it here. All right. Knit Picks Wool of the Andes giveaway. Let's move on to round of applause. Last episode, we were giving away 2 skeins of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the grass colorway, and this was done on Ravelry. The prompt last episode was, what small gesture from a stranger made a big impact on you? Random number generator picked number 15, who is Kitten Whiplash. And they said, I had an angioplasty on a vein in my leg, and the hospital clerk called a cab after the procedure. After several calls over the next hour, the clerk had to close the table, and my cab home was still not showing up. A clerk in the pharmacy took over calling for me, still with no results. She even called my mom to let her know why I was running late, but that I was okay. Finally, a kind fellow patient gave me a ride home. As we were walking out of the pharmacy, a cab was pulling into the parking area. The clerk said, you guys go ahead and just leave the driver to me. I've often wished I could have heard her telling the driver off. So yeah, that's a little bit of a wait, huh? Especially for a hospital. So congratulations, Kitten Whiplash. You've won that yarn. If you would, please private message me on Ravelry with your first and last name, mailing address, and email address. I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. Congratulations. Alrighty, let's move into the May 2020 Race to the Finished Object Contest. You have a couple days left to post pictures of anything you finished in the month of May. Each thing you finished, post as a separate entry, and I will pull for a winner to win a physical prize and a winner to win a pattern from our featured designer, who is Shayna Cohen of Shayna Lyons Designs. Don't fret, if you don't finish in May, I will open June's thread on June 1st. We also have our Shayna Lines Designs Knit Along going on in the Dramatic Knits Ravelry group. That's going from February 1st through July 31st. Any of Shayna's patterns are eligible, and each finished objects get you an entry in the drawing. So if you knit multiple coincide cowls, post a picture of each one, that gets you an entry in the drawing. If you do 5 different patterns by Shayna, post each one as a separate entry. You can get 20% off of her patterns through the end of this knit along, that's July 31st, by using the coupon code DRAMATIC, all lowercase, and that'll get you 20% off of all of her pay for patterns on Ravelry. All right, let's move into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. Let's start off with our new colorway of the month. So, June's colorway, as of last year and this year, is being identified as Amanda's birthday colorway. So, Amanda, my sister, as I said, her birthday is on June 6th, and last year we let her create a colorway, give her input, and we made it happen. She got to give feedback, tweak it, she then got to name it and find the inspiration pictures. My sister likes really dark colors with pops of color in them, specifically dark grays and black. So last year, her inspiration was Sweeney Todd, which is her favorite musical, and she came up with the colorway He Will Have His Revenge, which is like a slate gray with gray, dark gray, black speckles, and red splattered through it for blood. If you're unfamiliar with Sweeney Todd, it is called The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, and it is a very dark musical. This year, she wanted a very dark gray with pops of neon in it. And so the colorway is called Heathers. Here it is in the skein. And it has all the color pops of our OMG neon gradients. So there's a radioactive green, there's a spearmint green, there's an electric yellow, fluorescent orange, fluorescent fuchsia, purple, and there's 7 different color pops in here. But they are muted down by the dark black gray. And here it is, knit up in a swatch, which I love because it is muted down, but you know, you want those rainbow neons, they come through, but they're subtle. So this is Heathers, and she named it after the late 80s movie called Heathers, starring Winona Ryder, and I know Shannon Doherty's in it. I have not seen it. I guess it's like a cult classic. And it deals with death again too. I don't know. She's a dark individual, but so it's called Heathers, based off of that movie. The complementary color for the sock kit this month is going to be Electric Avenue, the bright highlighter yellow. And yeah, so that's truer to color. That's Heathers, and pre-orders will be up for that on June 1st, which is next Monday. It'll be available on every one of our yarn bases. We will have sock kit pre-orders as well as project bag pre-orders from Anne at the Silver Shed USA. She does project bags for us every month in a knit swatch bag as well as a beauty shot of just yarn laying beautifully on a table. And we do those in our medium and extra large, and then we always order a backpack every month to get in the shop the following month. So you can check out our project bags on the website to see past months, what we still have in stock. All right, let's talk about Knitting at the Estate 2020. That is happening in November 19th through 22nd this fall. Fingers crossed it will be happening. We have sold out of all on-site spots. However, we do still have 13 off-site spots available. Everything comes with the off-site spot other than your lodging. You will be booking your own lodging, probably at one of the local hotels, which is only about a 10-minute drive from the estate, or you can, of course, venture out from there. Or if you're local, you can stay at home and drive in. We also have a wait list linked on our homepage of the website, leadingmenfiberarts.com. If you would like to get on the wait list, if any on-site spots open up. We have not had any movement as of yet. Either way, please read the cancellation policy if anything were to happen with you canceling or with the event being canceled due to COVID-19. We want to encourage you to sign up for the Cast of Characters of Mini Skein Yarn Club. We are moving into the third month of our club here in June, and we are finally moving into the B's, exiting out of the A's and moving into the B's. So what the Cast of Characters Mini Skein Yarn Club is we started in April with the beginning of the alphabet of our colorways. We have over 200 colorways now, and each month you get 5 mini skeins in alphabetical order. And so they're not meant to go together in each month, but you have them on hand to either work them into a scrap project, keep them for cuffs, heels, and toes. I know one person is doing little swatches of them to have on reference for future knitting so that she knows, if I want this color, what does it look like? Again, things can vary as hand-dyed yarns do, but it gives you a good representation. We have several knit-alongs going on in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group on Ravelry. The Pearl Code Cardigan knit-along is going on through the end of the month. We've had a couple of sweaters posted in there. The grand prize is a $100 gift certificate to the shop. We also have the Shells and Stripes Infinity knit-along, scarf knit-along, going on through June. And the grand prize for that will be $50 gift certificate, as well as several second prizes that will be patterns from the designer Brownie Knits. And then we have our Little Moments knit along going on. That's a sock knit along designed by Lisa Ross, who's known as Paper Daisy Creations. She has offered up a 50% off the Little Moments pattern through the end of the month of May, so just a few days left. If you use Leading Men all caps, you'll get 50% off of the Little Moments sock pattern. If you're looking for yarn for any of those knit-alongs, check out the threads in the Leading Men Fiber Arts groups. There are coupon codes to get you 15% off of the knit-along yarns, and the Little Moments sock knit-along grand prize will be $50 gift certificate, and that goes through June as well. The second prize will be a sock ebook from Lisa, and then third prize will be 5 people will win individual patterns. I did not bring a new sample to show you since I did finish the Faraway Dreams wrap. I figured that would be, since it's going to be a new sample, that's the new sample for this week. Upcoming shows, we don't have anything on the books as of right now. We do have a trunk show out at Becky Steyer Studio, which is in Blue Earth, Minnesota through the end of this week. So if you are around there, call and check with them. They are also taking pre-orders for other yarns that they may not carry or might not have colorways in to support their shop as well. And then we will have future trunk shows going out towards the end of June to shops, but nothing in person as of right now. Michigan Fiber Festival canceled in August. But right now, I think the next thing we have is, if it goes, Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet Festival, which has been moved to the end of August. But we'll see if that's still a go as time gets closer. So due to the lack of shows, we are still offering free domestic shipping in the US on all orders over $10. So our kind of way to encourage you to shop with us via online, since we can't see you in person. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me this episode. Hope you had a good time. If you have any questions regarding Leading Men Fiber Arts, please feel free to email us at leadingmenfiberarts@gmail.com. You can join the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group and Facebook group, and follow us on Instagram. If you enjoy this podcast, please, as always, click the subscribe and the thumbs up button below the video. Don't forget to enter our contest this week by leaving a comment under the video. And if you'd like to leave a comment about anything you saw in the video, please go ahead and do so. I do try my best to reply to comments in a timely manner as much as I can. And we would love if you would join the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry as well. Don't forget to check out the show notes on the blog, dramaticknits.com. I will be trying this episode to also copy and paste those into Ravelry and YouTube and see how those transfer over copy and paste wise as well. So, if you have any questions regarding the podcast, please reach out to me via Ravelry as Dramatic Knits. I'd be happy to talk to you over there. Until I see you again in 2 weeks, I hope you make something dramatic.